Thank you. What a beautiful day. And Mr. Lieutenant Governor, since you did such a good job with the weather, you're going to be in charge of the Mississippi River for the next couple of weeks, too. Go ahead and have a seat, please. Thank you, Murray, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you, Chief Justice Johnson, for administering the oath. President Alario, Speaker Barra, statewide elected officials, justices of the Supreme Court, and members of the legislature, Governor Jindal, Governor Blanco, Governor Romer, Governor Edwards, Senator Cassidy, as well as Congressman Richmond and Congressman Graves. My fellow Louisianans, I am grateful to be here today, and I am thankful to everyone who has traveled from Amite. God bless you. As well as other places from around the state. Near and far to join us for this ceremony, and I will tell you it was my special treat and delight yesterday and surprise to be joined in the mansion by the Cadet Glee Club from the United States Military Academy at West Point, and I know that they performed here today as well as at Mass earlier this morning, so I want to thank them for making that trip from West Point. Governor Jindal, the first thing that Donna and I would like to do is to thank you and Mrs. Jindal and your staff for the efficient and gracious way in which this transition has been handled. Your kindness and cooperation is a testimony that we can indeed work together for the common good of the state that we all love. And speaking of love, I want to thank the love of my life. I want to thank my wife, Donna, and our children, Samantha Bell, Sarah Ellen, and John Miller. And I also want to thank my mother, Dora Jean Edwards, and pay tribute to my late father, Frank Edwards Jr., who died while the campaign was underway. I miss him terribly, and I thank him for passing on to me a sense of service, commitment to others, and the value of hard work. I love my parents, siblings, and extended family, and thank each of them for helping me to stand before the state today as Louisiana's governor. And I especially want to thank all the people of Louisiana who have joined us here today and those spread out in each corner of the state. We are here because you've chosen to rise above partisan politics and put Louisiana first. I was not a business as usual candidate, and I will not be a business as usual governor. I am first and foremost a proud Louisianan. Like many of you, I grew up in a family that taught me the importance of faith. We filled an entire pew at church every Sunday. And the hardest catechism teacher I ever had was my mama, who taught me in the 6th grade. Like many of you, also grew up with a strong appreciation of the sportsman's paradise that we all live in. Some of my best memories are of camping with my father and my 6 brothers. Every year, we would float the Tangipahoa River to Manchac, eating whatever we killed or caught along the way. But just in case, we'd always bring along some sweet potato pie left over from Thanksgiving. But my favorite memories of those trips are the time spent sitting around those campfires on cold nights. Those kind of campfires some of you would like to have out there right now, I suspect. But sitting around those campfires on cold nights talking to my dad and to my brothers in discussion and debate. In Louisiana, our land is diverse, our ideas are diverse, and our people are diverse. From the original Native American inhabitants to the French, Spanish, Acadians, and Africans. From the Yugoslavian oyster harvesters to the Sicilian strawberry farmers. Nearly every nation on earth has left its imprint on our culture. Louisiana is an example to the rest of the country that diversity is a source of strength. It is not weakness. It is not division. That is why I am confident that regardless of party, we can band together to rebuild Louisiana. The status quo is not sustainable in a state that is anything but ordinary. As we prepare to meet the mounting challenges ahead, I am reminded of General MacArthur's farewell address to West Point, that duty, honor, and country are rallying points to build courage when courage seems to fail, to regain faith when there seems to be little cause for faith, to create hope when hope becomes forlorn. My experience at West Point and my service as an Army officer have molded the way I look at the world. Ever since Athens defeated Sparta over 2,500 years ago, and the history of that war was written, military officers have been trained to look at every challenging task in a three-step process. The first step is gathering all the information you can about the job at hand. The second step is to ask yourself and knowledgeable people around you, what are our options to successfully address the challenge, and which ones best fit our mission and our values? That's the choice of a strategy. And finally, step 3 is a decision on tactics. How are we going to get it done? In military terms, victory is won by information, or intelligence as we call it in the Army, strategy, and tactics. That is how I propose we proceed in our shared mission of putting Louisiana first. We must be honest with ourselves, and we must be honest with one another. I can tell you, I'd rather be here today inheriting a $1 billion surplus than a $1.9 billion shortfall. But the truth is, there isn't a challenge that we won't meet. We must be grounded in reality and see the facts as they are, not as we want them to be. First, we need to acknowledge the harsh truths about poverty in Louisiana. We talk a lot about our abundant natural resources, but we need to talk more about the most precious natural resource that God has entrusted to us, our children. In Louisiana, 1 in 4 school-aged children live in poverty. That is unacceptable, and it must change. It's unacceptable when a parent's hard work isn't enough to pay the bills or go to the doctor. And I've traveled from Algiers to Zwolle and met countless single mothers working for minimum wage behind the cash register at a gas station. Often it's just one of several jobs that they have, and they still can't make ends meet. And while the faces are different, their struggles are the same. On top of not paying many of our workers a living wage, women in Louisiana make an average of 66 cents on the dollar compared to men. We're the worst state in the nation for pay equity. That too is unacceptable. It's unacceptable not just for my daughters, but for all women in our state. Second, we've somehow forgotten that education is synonymous with opportunity. In the past 7 years, we've cut funding for higher education by $700 million, the largest disinvestment in the country, putting campuses on the brink of bankruptcy and sending many of our best and brightest students out of state. Tuition increases, also the highest in the nation, have priced many students out of their dreams and are making TOPS unsustainable. For K through 12 education, while we've had some improvements, we still rank 49th in academic achievement. And while our high school graduation rate is at an all-time high, it is below the national average. Last but certainly not least, we face a daunting fiscal crisis. We can no longer afford to lurch year to year, cobbling together temporary fixes and expecting to realize permanent sustainability. If we don't fix the structural budget deficit, we can't fix any of our other problems. Those are the facts. We are one of the richest states in cultural and natural resources, yet our performance lags in too many critical categories. There is seriously a lot of work ahead of us. As Lincoln put it, the dogmas of the quiet past or inadequate for the stormy present. We are here because the people of Louisiana believe we can do better. By doing better, we will be better than these rankings suggest, and we are not going to let you down. This mission is critical, and here are some of the strategies I propose. We must make it possible for all Louisiana citizens to be healthy and prosperous. So as promised, tomorrow, I am going to accept the federal funding to expand Medicaid so that working families in Louisiana can get access to health care. Your tax dollars should not be going to one of the other 30 states that have expanded Medicaid when we are one of the states that expansion will help the most. We should make a modest but meaningful increase to the minimum wage, and the legislature should finally pass effective equal pay so that women, the economic leaders of many households, get the same pay for the same work. We know that when women do well, children prosper too. And this is the very definition of family values. Next, we need to treat our educators with the respect they deserve and demand the best for our children. It's been proven time and again that a more educated and trained workforce is our greatest long-term economic generator. So we must make college more affordable. We can start by ending double-digit tuition hikes. We cannot fund higher education on the backs of our students. Our state should support public higher education institutions. And we must also increase need-based aid for students ready to enroll in colleges across Louisiana and works towards a goal of funding higher education at 50% state support and 50% tuition and fees. In K through 12 education, we need to promote challenging Louisiana standards and a curriculum and maintain a meaningful accountability system and end the overuse of costly standardized testing. We should also enhance and protect local control of public education so that taxpayers, voters, and local school boards are empowered to oversee the financial and educational decisions that impact the success of our children. And finally, our top priority must be stabilizing the budget. And while all options are on the table, we're going to make strategic budget reductions, increase efficiencies, accept our federal tax dollars back, and rework the failed system of tax incentives, credits, and rebates, which too often bleed the state's revenue and leave little to show for the spending. Now, how are we going to make this happen? By partnering with the legislature, business and industry, local governments, educators, stakeholders, and working people all across this state. By calling on the kind of discipline, steel-eyed focus, and determination to succeed, by moving onward. I can't do it alone, and the enormous challenges we face will not be resolved overnight. But together, we will accomplish our mission. Now is the time for full participation. I am calling on the legislature to work with me and pass sound solutions, and I'm calling on the people of Louisiana to constructively engage and share your thoughts and ideas. It will be hard work, and yes, it will take sacrifice, but it can be done, and it must be done. You can expect the unvarnished truth from this administration regarding the challenges we face, the solutions we propose, and the opportunities we seek. The breeze of hope that got us here today will also drive a current of change as mighty as the Mississippi. But this river can't flow unless the breeze continues. We must put action before idleness, unity before party, and citizenship before self in order to put Louisiana first. Like you, I've been here through good times and bad. We are not a perfect state, but we are a resilient one. Following shared sacrifice, there will be shared prosperity. I am bullish on our future. Louisiana's best days are certainly ahead, and I want you to be as excited and optimistic as I am. Remember, after Katrina, we battled back. In fact, we still celebrated Mardi Gras. And after the Red River flooded, families still gathered at the state fair. After the oil spill, we didn't give up. We're still fishing for oysters and shrimp. The sugar cane still grows in Louisiana. Tourists still flock to the French Quarter, and new industries continue to emerge. And if there are two things Louisiana will never run out of, it's gumbo and gumption. The people of Louisiana want and deserve a state government as hopeful as they are. I pledge to you that we will deliver on that hope. As Solomon prayed, so give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. That will also be my prayer. I spent nearly 3 years traveling this state asking for your votes and your prayers. Today, I stand before you as your new governor, and I simply ask for your support and your prayers for me and for this state. From the bottom of my heart, I cannot thank you enough for this incredible opportunity. God bless you all. God bless the state of Louisiana, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.